Hey, welcome back to rustybobs.com, Rusty Bobs on YouTube, at rustybobs204 on Instagram. We're going to go ahead and dive into this Nissan Murano differential bushing replacement. Got flagged on the safety inspection just recently. So it's a 2004 Nissan Murano Z50 chassis. It's the same unit that I did the air conditioner condenser on a while back, and so I'll flip the camera around, get this thing jacked up, and show you what we got going on. So if I bring you in from the back here, it's got the big X's marked beside it. So this bushing, you can see, is cracked here, and then there's this kind of rusty mark below it. So these are liquid filled bushings, and when they crack and wore out like this, it dribbles out, the liquid filling dribbles out. And I've got the new one here. So it measures out at the same size. It's got to come in from that side, which means I've got to drop the diff out of the way. So I'm gonna pull it right out because there's no way to hammer on anything. I've got to hammer this out backwards. And I thought maybe if I needed to, I could press it out at Buddy's shop, but this subframe is all welded and it's huge. I've had to take the whole back of the car apart to get it out of there. So I'm gonna do my very best to get it out of here, and worst case scenario, I hammer out the middle and hacksaw this out of there, and then try and get the other one pressed in. So that's the job today. And so according to everything online, this cannot be done. You have to change the whole subframe, and there's no videos online for this. So definitely, if this problem ever comes up, here's the video for it. And a company out of Australia on eBay called Febest Australia, they supplied me with this bushing. They actually supply all these other bushings as well. So I'm gonna get into this and show you where we're at. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I haven't seen any videos of how this was done, so if you've got a Z50 chassis, a Nissan 2004 to I think it's 2008 maybe, 2010, something in there. Anyways, a Z50 chassis. This bushing is on the rear of the rear differential, and there's a differential, a 3-point mount. You'll see that later in the video. It's the rear bolt that goes into the cross-member subframe, and it is press-outable, and it is repairable without dropping the subframe down, as you'll see in the video. Okay, so there's a 17 mil nut pulls out there. The shaft is a stud that goes into the back of the rear diff, and then pop off the drive shaft. That's 14 millimeter nuts, and the bolts in it just pops off nicely. And then see those guys there, they go into the bushing right up there. And again, that's a 19 millimeter bolt and nut. So pop those out, and you can get at them with the wobbly woo on the impactor, kind of from the front to the back and up there, and that works pretty good. And then the whole unit is actually, here I'll back up a little bit so you can see a bit better. The whole unit ends up flopping down, and then I took off the 2 bolts on either side, which are 14s, holding the rear torsion bar up. Not torsion bar, whatever you call that thing that goes across, but a torsion bar, we'll call it that. If you drop those nuts off, then you can drop this guy down, slide it forward, and rest it on that bar right there, and it's just being held up by the tie rod. That's the thing, tie rod ends. So now I've got this thing clear on both sides. and I can begin the process to try and get this out of here, and the new one will slide in from that side. I do have a ball joint press that I'm going to try on here first to see if I can actually get it to move with that. I might have to end up heating this. It doesn't appear to be welded in there, which is good, so hopefully I can get this to start moving that way. I'm really trying to avoid pulling off all of the exhaust system so that I can get in here properly to hammer on it, but that's the worst case scenario, because as you can see, the muffler here, if this is out of the way, I could get a big bar on there, a shaft, and hammer on it that way, but I'm trying to avoid that, so we'll try the ball joint press first. Yeah, so that was a mission. We got it out. That's the old one. You can see how damaged it is. Of course, it didn't help that I was manhandling it with the pry bar too, but so it was in there, and I had the exhaust system was here, so I couldn't wail on it with the hammer straight on, so it ended up getting a bit cockeyed in there, which I think wasn't helping. So if you're having to do this bushing, definitely start out by taking the exhaust off. It's pretty easy. It's got two rubber mounts there. It's got a rubber mount on this side and then one flange here, and then it pops off. It's all one biggie. It's underneath there. And then there's a heat shroud. That heat shroud goes up 4 bolts, and they're 10 mil. There's a there, 2 on that side, and that comes down like this and is kind of right in the way. So take that all out. It's going to save you a whole bunch of time later. And then I had buddy Mike, he's right over there hiding from being in the video, holding a pipe on here, and then with the old, you know, sledgehammer on this end, and we started to get it to move pretty good. So what did we do? 4 or 5 cycles of tightening the bolt and then whacking on it, and then all of a sudden it started moving. So you could use, you know, like earplugs and stuff like that, but so what we're going to do now, I'm going to clean this all up. I've got some copper coat to put on the bushing and on these surfaces to make it a little bit easier. Right now I've got the new bushing sitting in the freezer. I'm going to make it as cold as I can get it, and then I'm going to heat this all up as much as I can with my MAP gas. And I got to be careful because there's a wire on the other side that runs across the top, but I'm going to heat this all up, get it nice and as hot as I can, and then use the bolt here. So what I went and got a piece of pipe that fits over the bushing for the back side when I was so I pressed it into that piece of pipe. I don't need that now. Now I can just run this flat against the new bushing, and hopefully without all those spacers it'll be a bit easier. It'll pull a little bit nicer and straighter, and then just a flat bushing on the inside and suck it in. Hey, it's going. We got it most of the way, pulling it in. It's moving. If I can crank it, that means it's moving. Good thing I didn't go to the gym today. You can come in here and take a close-up of what we got set up. So we got plate on both sides. I've heated this up a bit. Just cranking on this bolt through here to pull it together. Pro tip of the day, that copper coat anti-seize is really nice and slippery. Got to get a lot of heat into this, and make sure, pro tip number 2, make sure that when you're pulling on this that you don't when the bolt breaks, it doesn't whack you in the face, or your own hands whack you in the face. So, as long as we can keep turning the nut, it's coming in. I gotta put my foot in the way here against the tire. Nearly there, Mike. Oh. Change sides. Gotta even out the workout. Change from pulling to pushing. Oh, we're almost home. Oh, we're there. I got this awesome light. Make sure that you have a giant LED light like this for when you're working on your car. It turns poor eyesight and nighttime into daytime. I think we're bottomed home. Yeah. Whew. That's the hard bit. Everything else will go back together. About as much work as the fuel tank last weekend, as far as laying on my back with my hands in the air all day. But I don't stink like diesel fuel, which is bonus, and it is all done. So again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. And like I said earlier, it can be done, it is done, and on to the next project.